My dad gave my college fund to my brother because he deserved it more. I still haven't forgiven him. When I opened the college acceptance letter from Duke, I felt like the universe had finally nodded in my direction. After years of late-night studying, working 2 part-time jobs, and giving up anything resembling a social life, I had made it. Full acceptance, no strings. All I needed was to tap into the college fund my parents had promised was there for me since I was 10. But the day I told my dad, expecting congratulations or at least a proud nod, all he said was, "We need to talk." He sat me down at the kitchen table, same spot he'd used to lecture me for every bad grade and missed curfew growing up. Only this time, his eyes didn't carry disappointment. They were almost resolute. Like he'd already made peace with something he knew would break me. "There's no money for Duke," he said. "We gave it to Brandon." I laughed at first. It didn't make sense. My older brother Brandon had flunked out of 2 community colleges, gotten arrested twice, once for fighting, once for shoplifting, and hadn't held down a job for more than 3 months. Meanwhile, I'd been grinding every single day, living by the book because I believed hard work paid off. "You're joking," I said. "Right?" Dad sighed. "Your brother's had a harder time than you. He needs this more. He's turning his life around. We enrolled him in a rehab program and then he's going back to school. He deserves a second chance." Deserved it more? That line burned in my chest. I remember my mom hovering in the background, silent like she always was when Dad made one of his final decisions. She wouldn't meet my eyes. That silence said everything. They didn't even tell me they were considering giving it to him. It was just gone. I stormed out of the house and drove around until the sun came up the next morning, just trying to process what had happened. I felt like a stranger in my own family. Like all the sacrifices I made meant nothing because I'd never been the one who needed saving. I was just the one expected to do everything right. And I had. But it still wasn't enough. I spent that night in my car, parked behind a gas station 30 miles from home. It was freezing. I barely slept. And when I finally texted my mom asking, "Why didn't you stop him?" all she replied was, "It's complicated." No, it wasn't. It was betrayal, plain and simple. The next few weeks were a blur. I deferred my acceptance to Duke. Tried looking into student loans but realized I'd need a cosigner, something my dad flat out refused to do. "We've done enough," he said, like I was some burden they'd already carried too far. Brandon, meanwhile, was back home, detoxing on the living room couch, complaining about headaches and asking for Gatorade. And my dad doted on him like he was some war hero returning from battle. That was the moment I realized my family didn't see me the way I thought they did. I was just the backup plan, the safe bet, the one they could afford to overlook because I'd figure it out. Well, I did figure it out. I left, got a job at a hardware store across town, rented a room off Craigslist with 2 strangers, and started saving every dollar I could. Duke was off the table, but I wasn't done yet. I didn't talk to my dad for nearly a year. And even now, 4 years later, I haven't forgiven him. Not because he gave the money to my brother, but because he looked me in the eye and told me I didn't deserve it. I didn't go home for Thanksgiving that year. Or Christmas. My mom texted me updates, sent pictures of the table set for 4 with a blank spot where my plate should have been, like guilt could be packaged into a JPEG. Brandon looked healthier, I'll admit. He'd gained weight, stopped shaking, and had this fake zen thing going on from all the group therapy sessions. Dad beamed in every picture like he'd personally lifted his son out of hell. I guess in his mind, he had. Meanwhile, I was still working 60 hours a week, flipping lumber and hauling bags of concrete for guys who barely remembered my name. Every time I checked my bank balance, it was like trying to carry water in a sieve. Rent, groceries, gas. The idea of affording college on my own felt like a cruel joke. But I didn't complain. I didn't ask for help. I wanted to earn it, all of it, so that when I finally made it, I could say I did it without them. Without their permission. Without their money. Without their belief in me. What no one tells you about cutting off your family is that the silence doesn't stay clean. It gets messy. Especially when they start trying to drag you back. One night, about 8 months after everything went down, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I was just finishing my shift, my hands covered in grime, my back sore from a full day of unloading trucks. I almost didn't answer. But something made me swipe. It was Brandon. "Hey," he said. Just that. Like we were cool. Like we were brothers again. I didn't say anything. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. For everything. I waited. I know I screwed up. I know Dad messed up too. But I didn't ask for the money, man. He offered. I was in a really dark place, and I thought I was gonna die. His voice cracked a little, and for a second, I could hear the real him. The scared kid under all the mess. The one who used to build Lego towers with me and beg me not to tell Mom when he snuck beer from the fridge. But that version of him had died a long time ago. And I wasn't sure this one deserved to resurrect in my life. That money was never his to give, I said. I know. Then why'd you take it? Silence. I was drowning, he said. And he threw me a rope. I didn't think about who else needed it. That line stuck with me for weeks. Not because it justified anything, but because it was the first time someone admitted what I already knew. I was the one left to sink. A few days later, my dad showed up at the hardware store. I was stocking shelves when I turned and saw him standing there like some ghost from my childhood. Same boots. Same weathered jacket. Same look of stubbornness carved into his jaw. He didn't say hi. Just handed me an envelope. What's this? I asked. Open it when you get home. Then he left. I almost threw it out. But curiosity got the better of me. When I opened it, I found a check, $5,000. And a sticky note that said, "It's not enough, but it's a start." I wanted to rip it in half, but I didn't. Instead, I stuck it in a drawer and didn't touch it. Because it wasn't about the money. It was about the damage he couldn't undo with a pen and a bank account. Forgiveness wasn't a transaction. It was a process. One I hadn't even begun yet. A month after Dad dropped off the check, I started getting voicemails from my mom. First it was just the usual, just checking in, love you kind of stuff. Then came the guilt-laced ones. Your father's trying, sweetheart. He knows he hurt you. Brandon asks about you. He's doing well now. He's even taking some community college courses. We'd love to have you over for Sunday dinner. Just one night. I deleted every message without replying. I wasn't ready to sit across from the same table where they'd planned my future without me. Where they decided I was strong enough to abandon. But there's only so long you can outrun your own blood. They always find ways to show up. One Saturday morning, I was heading into my shift when I saw Brandon sitting on the curb outside the store. Hoodie up, hands in his pockets, head down. Like a high schooler waiting to get picked up after detention. I almost turned around and walked the other way. He stood up when he saw me. Can we talk? I'm working, I said, brushing past him. I'll wait. And he did. 5 hours. On that concrete curb. I watched through the storefront window as he paced, sat down, stood back up. I even saw one of my coworkers bring him a water bottle. Finally, when I clocked out, I walked over. You got 5 minutes. Brandon nodded. I'm not here to fix things. I just want to explain. I didn't respond. Just crossed my arms and waited. I hated you for a long time, he said. That caught me off guard. You hated me? He nodded. Not because you did anything wrong, but because you were everything I wasn't. You followed the rules. You got the grades. You had a future. And every time I messed up, you were there to remind everyone, without trying, that I didn't measure up. That hit me harder than I expected. I'd spent so long being angry at him and how he got handed things I worked for that I never stopped to wonder what it looked like from his side. I used to think you were Dad's favorite, he continued. But when he gave me that money, that's when I realized, you were the one he respected. Me? I was a project. You were his legacy. I didn't know what to say. I still don't know how I feel about it. I'm not asking for you to forgive him, Brandon said. But you should know he's selling his truck. Trying to pull together more money. Says he wants to help you go back to school. He wants to? I laughed bitterly. Too little, too late. Maybe. But I figured you deserved to know. He handed me another envelope. This one wasn't sealed. Inside was a handwritten letter from my dad. The same kind of lined yellow paper he used to scribble on when fixing things around the house. His handwriting was rough, like he'd been pressing the pen too hard the whole time. Son, you don't have to forgive me. I probably don't deserve it. But I need you to know something. I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought you were strong enough to be okay without us. That Brandon needed saving more than you did. I see now I was wrong. I failed both of you in different ways. I'm sorry. If there's a way to help now, I will. Just tell me how. Dad. I folded the letter and put it back in the envelope. Brandon waited, like he thought I was going to break down or hug him or something. Instead, I asked, what do you want from me? Nothing, he said. Just, maybe a chance to start over. Someday. I nodded slowly. Someday. Then I walked away. That night, I sat in my room staring at that check from before. And the new letter. I still didn't know what to do with either. My pride was clawing at me, telling me to burn it all. That I didn't need them. But the truth? Part of me wanted to believe they were trying. Even if they were 20 steps behind. Even if I'd already learned to walk without them. A week after Brandon gave me that letter, I cashed the check. Not because I forgave my dad. Not because I wanted to make things easier for him. I cashed it because I was tired of letting pride keep me stuck in the same damn place. I'd spent over a year trying to prove I didn't need anyone. And maybe I didn't. But I wanted more than survival. I wanted to move forward. And I was finally ready to admit that moving forward sometimes means accepting help, even if it comes from the people who hurt you. The money, plus what I'd saved on my own, was enough to enroll in a nearby state university part-time. Not Duke, sure, but it was mine. Something I earned, built from the ground up, with just enough of a boost to keep it real. When I told my dad, I expected some smug "I told you I'd come through" speech. Instead, he just nodded and said, "Good. You deserve it." That word again. Deserve. But this time, it didn't feel like a knife in my chest. It felt like, maybe he was starting to understand. We didn't suddenly become best friends. I didn't show up for family barbecues or send him birthday cards. But I didn't shut the door anymore either. We'd talk every couple of weeks. Short calls. Weather, classes, work. Nothing deep. Nothing too real. But it was something. The real turning point came 6 months later. Brandon relapsed. I got the call from my mom at 3 a.m. He'd been doing so well, or at least that's what they told themselves. Turns out, he was just hiding it better this time. Pills, not booze. He OD'd in a motel room 2 towns over. He survived. Barely. I sat in the hospital waiting room with my parents, watching my dad unravel in real time. The same man who once lectured me about tough love had tears streaming down his face as he begged the nurse for updates. I didn't say "I told you so." I didn't say anything. But when my dad looked at me and whispered, "I don't know how to fix this," I finally saw the man, not the authority figure, not the judge and jury I'd grown up fearing. Just a man who made a choice, and then had to live with what it cost. After Brandon was stable, they put him in an inpatient program. Again. I visited once. Just once. He looked smaller somehow. Not physically, but like his soul had been folded in on itself. He thanked me for coming. I didn't stay long. As I walked out of the rehab center, I realized something. All this time, I thought forgiveness meant saying it was okay. It didn't. Forgiveness, real forgiveness, was looking at someone who broke you and saying, "You don't have the power to keep breaking me." It was reclaiming your own story, even the ugly chapters. So, no, I haven't forgotten what my dad did. I haven't forgotten the nights I cried in my car, the scholarships I never applied for because I thought the money was waiting, the dream I had to downsize. But I forgave him. Not because he deserved it, but because I did. Now, I'm in my last semester. Working part-time at a law firm that took a chance on a no-name junior with a chip on his shoulder and a GPA that came soaked in sweat. Brandon's been clean for 11 months. My dad sold the truck. Drives a beat-up Civic now. Says he's saving to help me with grad school, if I want it. And maybe I do. Maybe I don't. But for the first time, the decision is mine. And that's all I ever really wanted.